In English, structure comes from position.
Subject, verb, object.
And in Korean, structure comes from particles.
Topic marker, subject marker, object marker.
And that changes everything. So today, we're going to talk about particles and position in terms of sentence structures. So first, let's talk about the English sentence structure. English actually follows subject, verb, object structure, right? So let's talk about this one. Subject comes first, and verb, and then the object, right? So you can make this kind of sentence structure. I hate the smell of a fart. But in Korean, it's different. In Korean, you need to follow subject, object, and then the verb structure, like this. First, the subject stays the same. I and 저 is I in English. And here, you change, the positions of verbs and object like these. And these 방귀 means fart in Korean, and 냄새 means smell in Korean. So when you combine them together, it means fart smell. And 싫어해요 means to hate. So these verb goes over here, and this object goes here. That's the huge difference between English and Korean.
But there is more.
Well, actually, in terms of sentence structure, there is a huge difference between English and Korean. Well, when you speak English, you need to follow strictly the word orders, like you need to put subject first, and then verb, and then object. But in Korean, it's not necessary because we have particles. And from now on, I'm going to give you some detailed examples. First, in English, so there is a sentence, I hate the smell of a fart. So here, you put subject first, and then verb, and then object. But what if you change the word order here? You put object at the beginning of the sentence and subject at the end of the sentence. The smell of a fart hate I. Doesn't make any sense, right? But in Korean, you can change the word order like this. And I'm going to tell you why. When you speak Korean, you can use those particles. 은 and 는. They are topic particles that mark that the noun in front of it is the topic of a sentence. And 을 and 를 is the object particles, and it marks that the nouns in front of it, are the objects. So in Korean, you need to follow the basic sentence structure, of course, but it's not necessary. First of all, you put subject first, and then object, and then the verb. So there is a same sentence. I hate the smell of a fart in Korean. 저는 방귀 냄새를 싫어해요. And as you can see, 저 itself is I. And this is the topic of a sentence, and that is why, there is the topic particle. And here, 방귀 냄새 is the object of a sentence, and that is why there is object particle after it. Here, I'm going to change the word orders like this. First of all, you put 방귀 냄새, fart smell first, and then 싫어해요, verb, to hate, in the middle of the sentence, and then you put 저, I, at the end of the sentence, which is the topic of the sentence. So, 방귀 냄새를 싫어해요, 저는. You put object first, and verb, and topic. It doesn't matter because even though you change the word orders here, you can still identify each function of the noun because of the particles. 를 marks that this is the object, and 는 marks that this is, the topic of a sentence. So no matter how much you change the word order, in Korean, it still makes sense. And there is something even more surprising. What if you take away particles from the basic sentence structures? It can still make sense. But the more particles you take away from basic sentence structures, the more casual your sentences sound. This one is the first example. I took away object particle after the object, so it sounds a little bit casual. 저는 방귀 냄새 싫어해요. But what if you take away, both of these particles, object particles and topic particle? In this situation, this sentence sounds much more casual than this one. So, 저 방귀 냄새 싫어해요. So if I were you, I wouldn't use this sentence structure when speaking to someone I'm not close to. And because you take away particles from the basic sentence structure, there might be situations where you can't identify each noun's function. So if you change the word order in that situation, it can sound very awkward. So therefore, try to keep the original word order, when you take away particles from the basic sentence structures until you get used to speaking Korean naturally. So let's summarize today's lesson. First, in English, because there are no particles, you need to basically follow the original sentence structure like subject, verb, and object, right? But in Korean, thanks to the particles, you can change the word order. And even you can take away them from the basic sentence structure and it sounds more casual. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time.